Welcome to a video from thedigital-lifestyle.com. This is a new sound pack for the Korg Opsix, my first sound pack actually for the Opsix. These are ones I've really been using to learn the instrument. So what most of these I've done from an initial patch, and then I've created them learning the architecture and create some really interesting sounds from it because it's such a versatile and interesting synth. It's not just FM, it does a lot more than that. So this set, I think there's 71 or 72 performances in or programs in there. There's two versions available. There's a cut down set that has some of my favorites, and then the complete premium set. And by buying the premium one, you're helping me support this channel. So what we've got, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play these patches that I've created and maybe talk a bit about them as well. So if you're interested in the sound design aspect of it, you can find about that as well. I'll show you at the end of the video how to import them in. So a few different ones. So this is actually the first one I created, and they're actually in order that I created them, so they get kind of more sophisticated as we go through them. So this was a one I call warm keys, using one of my favorite algorithms, algorithm 5, where you get 3 pairs of oscillators, and there's or operators I should say, it's FM. So operator 1 and 2 work together, 3 and 4 and so on. So the idea behind that one is you've got the FM sort of piano sound. I had to go with that to start with, but it's got a warm sort of pad in the background, and that's using that architecture. So this is one of the ones, I think there's 4 or 5 that I imported in and then tweaked. So this one is based on the Tangerine Dreams sound that they used a lot in the sort of mid to late 80s. I think it was based off a 12-string sound on the TX. Well, that's certainly the one I had on my TX7. I imported that in and then I tweaked it. The envelopes aren't the same on the Opsix. So it's got that almost like a harpsichord type sound. This one I called Mr. Banks. This one, it reminds me of a Tony Banks type style sound. I'm not sure which Tony Banks, but it's sort of that Invisible Touch era Genesis. It's got a kind of analog feel to it. Using that algorithm there with lots of carriers and a bit of modulation. So this one is an analog poly. So what I did with this is I'm using all the operators in sort of analog mode, in filter mode, or in oscillator mode, going through the built-in filter. To get a really big sound, it's like having a 6 oscillator subtractive synth. And you can control the levels of them. Made a bit of a sequence one. So this one reminded me of a sort of early to mid 80s Tangerine Dream, and I put it to a sequence. So you can hear that FM sound, but it's got that sort of almost resonance on it. It sounds. Right. Mama Lead is a Genesis from Genesis Mama, and that was originally created on the Synclavier, which is an FM and additive synthesis. Not using FM in this, I don't think, from the sounds of it anyway. I think it's additive synthesis, which you can do on the Opsix because you've not just got the standard FM sine waves, you've also got multiple waveforms. So I'm using the additive waves. See, I think I'm just using a couple of those additive waves to get that effect. I think all the, yeah. those two really just to get that as a with a pitch envelope as well. This is one I didn't import, Activate, that I know that Jan Hammer used a few times. It's very touch responsive, so I brought that in and tweaked it to get it to work with the Opsix. You can hear the touch. And this is another one I imported in. This one, I know Jan Hammer tweaked the jazz guitar and used it with some effects. So that's exactly what I've done. Nice, sort of distorted on that. Interesting thing to note on that one as well is on the modulation for the LFO, the pitch of the LFO modulation, we use mod wheel, uses the guitar waveform and not the sine wave or triangle, because the guitar one is positive only, so it goes from 0 upwards, not back down to below 0 like a sine wave or a triangle would, to get that guitar sort of effect where you're bending the note up because you're not bending it down. So this is another one using my favourite algorithm, but this one is a sort of nice pad sound. You can hear that initial attack. It gives it sort of that attack, and then you've got that sort of pad goes behind it. A hybrid brass, which I'm using FM style brass and filter, so using sort of subtractive synthesis type brass. And if actually you can play with the levels of the carriers, and you can hear the individual parts. So that's traditional subtractive. They're FM and FM, so you get that hybrid. Orbit pad. Which is a nice evolving pad. You can hear that modulation coming in. The LFO is actually speeding up and slowing down because they're using the virtual patch to modify LFO1's pitch at speed with LFO3. This one I call demo patch. Sounds like there's kind of a delay on there, but that's using the I think I used a square wave to get that modulation effect. Wavetabling. So it sounds like coming through wavetables, if you've got a wavetable synth. No wavetables included on there, so we've done that through FM. And this one, I've done the similar thing, but I use the mod wheel to go through the wavetable, like a smooth transition through them, like you would on say on the multi-poly, where you can smooth the transition through them. That. Got some wave sequencing. What I've done on this one, you use the motion sequencer to change the wave shape, so you get that sort of wavetable effect. I had to include some basses. There's a few on here. There's one with sequence, a bass. Again, responsive to touch. Not quite your traditional slap bass, I've got one of those later. Filter pad. And the rhythmic effect on that isn't using a sequencer, but that's using an LFO, triangle LFO to get the effect. So, traditional sort of DX type sweep. I really like those, especially played low. Now I've got a couple of 4-operator ones. What I did on here, I've got a DX100 4-operator FM synthesizer. I didn't import these, I just recreated those from ear. So this is a recreation of the solid bass sound that the DX sort of 100 is famous for. A little bit like lately bass as well, I think, on the TX81Z. I left it dry as well. And notice what I've done is I've put these sine waves into 8-bit mode to emphasize that sort of old school noise effect, because even the 12-bit versions on here were cleaner than my DX100. This is one of the presets on there called Synthy Bass, which I copied. Again, I used the 8-bit to get that sort of grittiness. And this is called Wow on the DX100, and I I actually not used all 6 operators because I didn't need to. I did use the 4 operators, so these two not doing anything, and then the rest are all in 8-bit mode to recreate that. So this one is a multi-oscillator pad, so I'm using filter mode and FM as well. It gives us a nice, almost analogish, but then you can hear those sort of digital overtones in the background. This is wine glasses, and wine glasses, the idea came from the wine glasses doing sort of the sound, going around the rim on a wine glass. Didn't quite get that, but I got an interesting sound out of it. So it's a nice ethereal sound and sort of comes in slowly as well. Bit hot that one slightly, but yeah, I like that one. We've got a triangle wave bass. Comes in and out like that. DX Orchestra, so they try to create the sound like you would if you were a DX7 programmer back in the day, and you say, well, I want the different string sections to make orchestra, so that's why I split it with that algorithm. It's quite an 80s sound, that one. Here's another 4-operator one called Ivory, Ebony, which is one of the piano presets from the DX100. So I've recreated it here. You can't import them, I just recreated it. And it's got the low down, it actually does sound a bit piano-like. I always thought it did on the DX100, but when you get to the higher, it sounds less so. But I do like the sound of it. So if you're going for a bit of 80s feel, then you try that one. Here, similar. This is a 4-operator electric piano from the and I've got a 6-operator version of it as well. And it's quite a clean sound, the 4-operator one, because there's less going on. You compare that with the 6-operator one, and it's got more to it because we've got more layers. And I've got a hybrid one as well, which I used for operator one and created, and then an analog piano style from the sort of the 70s analog synths when they were trying to create pianos. Now, I was playing around with fixed frequencies and created this pad that uses fixed frequencies. The carriers have got fixed frequencies and the modulators create the frequency. Wood bass. So it's got the bass and a sort of pluck sound layered together, and a multi-poly pad. This is one of the ones where I've built the architecture using the algorithms to replicate existing synths. So I've replicated the multi-poly, which has got 4 oscillators going into 2 filters. I've not used 4 oscillators, I've used 2 oscillators and then 2 filters. To get that nice subtractive feel from it. This analog synth algorithm patch is using a custom algorithm where I've imagined having a 5 oscillator synth that goes through a filter, a pair of filters, so a high pass and a low pass. So you've got the built-in filter anyway. So I've used one filter, operator 6, the main filter, and then the rest. So I created the algorithm so they all port into that one. So it's quite an interesting, you can really enjoy playing around that. You can select the waveforms, sine, sawtooth, triangle, pulse width, whatever you want, and they're all going through a high pass and then a low pass filter. This is kind of the opposite of this one, of that one. This is where we've got one oscillator, operator 1, feeding into multiple filters. And these are all using different bandpass filters. I've got a low pass and a high pass as well. So you get that sort of vocal effect because it's going through multiple filters, but that's one you could use and play with and come up with different combinations. Another one, I've modeled the MS-20, so I've done this as like a template. So what I've used, the MS-20, it's got 2 oscillators, a low pass and a high pass filter, and then it has its own modulation routine where you can have another filter. So that's exactly what I've done on here. You see, we're using the MS-20 filter mode to do that. So that's the template, and then this is one of the patches I created for it. It's a nice sort of sawtooth lead. Back to the idea I had with the multi-filters, I was playing around with the comb filter and come up with a couple of sounds. This is the virtual lute. And then this one uses the same method, but does like a 12 string. And now we've got a Pluck Glass. That's more proper FM sound. This one's called Energy Source. It uses noise, uses filter tracking to get the noise higher up here than it is at the bottom. like that sort of tune noise effect. Cave music is, I was kind of envisioning someone trying to create sort of the cave sound like on an analog synth. And some sparkling bells, because you've got to have a bells in a DX collection or an FM collection. Steam noise. Heavy lead is a DX11 patch that I used to have a DX11 many years ago, and I tried to recreate. I couldn't find any info about it, so I recreated from memory. And we've got an FM guitar. A couple of Polysix Model sounds. Using that technique and method I mentioned earlier, so Polysix has got signal oscillator, then filter. It's quite a basic synth really, but it's got sub oscillator, and I'm sort of recreating that on here. Same with the PWM. You can control the PWM through the mod wheel, and we've got some Poly 61 strings, which again I'm use that technique to model it. Nice sort of warm sound to it. Some wave sequencing. Now what I did on this one is actually programmed the wave sequencer to turn on the operator 1's level, then step 2 is operator 3, step 4 is operator 4, step 5. So you've got 6 steps with each oscillator operator being switched on separately. So you can create that sort of step sound like that. It's quite an interesting sound. Sort of brass sound. A bit of touch sensitivity, a proper DX type brass sound on there. And some orchestral strings. Nice bit of DX sort of fizz on that. Old school brass, using FM to create a sawtooth. So not using any sawtooth, but the analyzer will pick it up. Not with the effects, it's probably a bit too much, but I used the technique, the FM technique of how to create a sawtooth to do that one. So we've got operator 1 and 2. These are a bit of feedback to create a sawtooth, and then pass them through the filters. Bit of effects, drum, kicking snare. Yes, it makes quite a good Simmons on FM. Some percussion chords. And some phase leads. This is like a bright pad. A solo lead sound. Doesn't really sound like FM on that one, which is the idea. And a Koto. Getting a lot of touch built into that one. Some additive keys, so I'm using additive waveforms to get these effects. Another FM bass, more traditional FM. And some hybrid bells, so this is using FM and subtractive synthesis to get that bell sound. Sounds quite good low, and then even you can play it higher. So like using additive bells. So this one may sound familiar. So I heard the Who Wants to Live Forever Queen use the X7. I found a patch that they used for that intro, and it didn't sound right when I played it, and it didn't sound right, especially on the Opsix. So I recreated it from scratch, and so it's a really nice, evocative sound. Couldn't think of a name for this one. Call it 80s sci-fi with the spelling like that. This one is Tangerine Dream type sound, Live Miles, their string sounds on Live Miles, the pseudo live album from the 86, I think it was. Kind of traditional FM type string sound. Proper bass sound. And the Live Miles strings through some filters. You can hear the LFO, free running LFO, speeding up and slowing down. And I tried to recreate a string machine in the style of a Solina. I've actually got a Behringer Solina, and I went through the individual sounds on there to try and recreate. I couldn't really recreate it, but I got an interesting string sound out of it anyway. So kind of a vocal kind of sound, lead sound. Using the filters to get sort of a retro kind of sound to it. And another filter one, this is using an algorithm that has all the operators as carriers. And the pitch string. Which uses a pitch envelope to retrieve those sounds. So this is PPG Strat, the kind of, this is one actually imported in and then tweaked. It's really nice, sort of 80s sound. And I've really made it velocity sensitive. So that's the collection of sounds. To install them, just go get the zip file, either the free one or the full set, unzip them, and then if you just go to load program, you'll find that they pop in a folder like this, and then you just select the ones you want to load, and they load wherever you are in the editor, so you can pick them. You can multi-select and pick them all if you want, or just the ones that you like. They work with the Opsix Native and the old versions of the Opsix as well. So thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe if you like it. If you've got any suggestions for sounds for the Opsix, let me know, or sound pack or sound tutorials as well. I've got a few of those out now, so check out this/style.com with all the details in. Links for the packs are in the descriptions. We'll get the full pack supports me doing all these. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.